I was Hanny but Rico from Street Scores, and after I took some time to finally watch film on Buddy, because I'm not gonna lie, before we brought him in as an undrafted free agent, I've seen him, saw him at the combine and things like that. People always talking about him for a reason that I'm not even about to get into. But either way, I had to go and watch some tape on Buddy, and I'm liking what I'm seeing a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. The Washington Commanders signed record-setting undrafted free agent quarterback Sam Hartman, most recently from Notre Dame, but most people probably know him from Wake Forest, and people are shocked that he went undrafted. We're going to dive into his skill set, his weaknesses, his strengths, where is he on the quarterback depth chart right now, and also touch on why a lot of people feel like he should have never have gone undrafted in the first place. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned because again, even though I'm way backed up, I'm working on breakdowns for a lot of these undrafted free agents. Then I'm going to start getting back to the draft class, and I'm going to work my way backwards. We already did the first pick of the draft and the last pick of the draft breakdowns, individual videos for every single person. Now we're about to start all the way to the back and then work our way all the way up to Johnny Newton. So stay tuned for that. I'm working on these breakdowns. I promise they're on the way, but I've just been super busy. And then eventually I'm just going to do like an overall draft class breakdown and grade how I feel about the overall draft class and everything like that. So I'm super excited, man. And of course, like I already told y'all, I'm doing film sessions for everybody drafted as well. And if there's a notable enough undrafted free agent, I will do a film session on that guy as well. So every single notable player that you really need to know about that the Commanders brought in over the past few days will get 2 videos each, a breakdown similar to this one right here, and then an eventual film session later on down the road leading up to training camp. I'm super excited, so just stay patient with me, and then eventually I'm gonna also do just a big breakdown of all of our undrafted free agents on one video as well, so stay tuned for that, just like an updated list. And without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get to it, man. Let's get it. Adam. Alright, so I first saw it announced by Jordan Schultz. He tweeted, former Notre Dame quarterback Sam Hartman is signing with the Commanders. And when you look in the comment section of that tweet, everybody's just so excited and shocked and like, why? How did he even go undrafted and things like that? We'll dive deeper into that a little later. But I just want to let you know, like I briefly mentioned in the intro, he was most recently with Notre Dame, but he was at Wake Forest for 5 years before he transferred to Notre Dame as a grad transfer. So to me, he's a Wake Forest guy. If you're really watching his tape, you're probably going to see a lot more Wake Forest than you're going to see of him playing at Notre Dame. Not going to lie. Also, 24 years old, again, began his career at Wake Forest before transferring to Notre Dame. He was named second team All-ACC in 2021, third team All-ACC in 2022, and then won the Brian Piccolo Award in 2022. In 4 seasons with the Demon Deacons and 1 with the Fighting Irish, Hartman started 57 of 60 games. That's a lot of games, man, and compiled a record of 34 and 20. He completed 1,135 of his 1,898 passes, 59.8% for 1,656 yards, 134 touchdowns, and 49 interceptions. That ratio isn't too bad. Not great, but not too bad. He also rushed 462 times for 979 yards, 2.1 yards per carry. Nothing noteworthy there, but he did have 20 rushing touchdowns throughout his collegiate career. Also, Sam Hartman holds the Wake Forest records for career passing yards, touchdowns, and completions. Again, he was there for 5 years, but it's still an amazing thing to set records no matter how or how long it takes you to do it, whatever happens. And his touchdowns are also an ACC record, which is a conference that had Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Phillip Rivers, a lot of other great quarterbacks. But again, he played there for 5 years. So it was like, how much stock did we really give it? But it's still pretty cool that he set records. Also, we signed him to one of the biggest guarantees amongst NFL free agents Like all of them, undrafted free agents around everywhere after the draft, like a $20,000 signing bonus and a $225,000 base salary guarantee. Undrafted free agents do not typically get that type of money, so it sounds like we probably had to outbid other teams to get him. We had to raise that price in order to win his services, to win that signature, basically. And another thing that you could take from that is that if we were willing to outbid other teams for him, then maybe we have something in store for him in 2024. Or at the very least, I mean, of course, we want Jayden Daniels to play every game, every play, every snap. But maybe they are very high on this guy to at worst be our quarterback 3, potentially. Maybe only behind Marcus Mariota, but to jump everybody else that's in line in front of him right now. We're going to dive into that soon, but let's get to his traits right now, his weaknesses and strengths, before we start to take a look at the depth chart, because I kind of want you to have a relatively decent idea of like who he is as a quarterback before we get to this whole depth chart situation. But the fact that they signed him to that much money as an undrafted free agent shows you that Adam Peters and the Commanders see this guy as somebody worth investing in, and I'm definitely expecting him to make the 53-man roster. You don't put that much money into an undrafted free agent unless you have high hopes for him. I know he's an undrafted free agent. We didn't select him in the draft, but that's a lot of money to sign him for. And like I keep telling y'all, I'd prefer to be an undrafted free agent over being a 7th round or even a 6th round pick any day, because in those rounds you get paid similar money, and you also don't even get to choose which team you go to. Whereas in Sam Hartman's case, I know a lot of people are shocked that he didn't get drafted, but I know he's happy. All of these teams calling him up and trying to get him, and he gets to pick which one he goes to. And on top of that, teams are having to outbid each other to end up winning his signature like we ended up doing. So he probably ended up getting paid more money to be an undrafted free agent than he would have if he was a 7th round pick anyway, and he got to choose where he went. And so, hey man, you go from you fighting with other quarterbacks to go on a team to when you're an undrafted free agent, teams are fighting over each other to get you as a quarterback. It completely reverses the table. But let's go ahead and get to it. First of all, he's not any type of athlete at all, man. Not really one bit. His most notable testing is his 10-yard split with a 1.63 that was within the 73% percentile. Everything else is like at best average. His vertical was atrocious. His 3-cone was bad. His broad jump was bad. Height considered bad at 6'1". His weight is considered bad at 211 pounds. It's just not, he's not the most notable guy. This is definitely not like a high ceiling guy. I mean, he's played 6 years of college, so you already kind of assume it's like, how much better can he get if through 6 years of college he didn't get that much better already? So he is kind of a guy that comes with some floor to him, but not much of a ceiling at all. We could just go ahead and get that out the way. This is not some athlete. This is not a guy that's even in the mold of like a Jayden Daniels or a Marcus Mariota. Right now, your top 2 quarterbacks on your roster are very mobile guys. This guy isn't, but we'll dive into that soon as well. But when you're taking a look at his strengths, according to Draft Buzz, and I would say that I generally agree with this. Again, I had to go watch some film on him after we drafted him. It's not like this was a guy that was on my radar heading into the draft, other than people constantly talking about him on the internet, and then him at the combine. He made some pretty good throws there. So I've watched some tape on him, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all and act like I've just watched hours on hours on hours on him like I did of Jayden Daniels, of course. So based off of the little bit that I was able to surmise from watching some of his tape, I agree with some of the points that Draft Buzz brings up right here. People that did like a full deep dive into his film. They said good, but not elite arm strength, can easily make all of the NFL throws with effortless deep passes. I agree with that. He possesses a strong arm and is capable of making every NFL throw easily, can drive the deep out to the sideline from the opposite hash and has no problem threading the needle between closing defenders. Easily zips to all areas of the field, demonstrating very good touch on underneath throws to running backs and receivers, as well as down the sideline deep passes. He's very nuanced. Again, he's played 6 years of college, so it's not surprising that he's very accurate. He can make throws where they need to be. He can put the right touch on it, depending on the angle and the distance and things like that. But most notably, again, he has the type of arm that he can pretty much make almost every throw. He doesn't have the best arm, but it's a good enough arm to where he doesn't necessarily limit your offense throwing wise. Now, running the ball wise, like mobile quarterback read option and stuff like that, yeah, he limits your offense pretty mightily. But throwing the ball wise, for any reason that he would ever have to play, or at least preseason wise, Cliff Kingsbury doesn't have to delete the whole deep ball part of his offense because Sam Hartman's on the field. You do got to delete the running aspect from the quarterback, but the attacking deep down the field, you don't necessarily have to do that. He also sprays the ball anywhere on the field, especially when given a pocket from which to deliver. Will step into the pocket while looking downfield, reset his feet, and deliver. So, like your standard pocket passer. Ball placement is a strength. Hartman has the natural instincts to make plays when forced to improvise as well. Good accuracy overall, including excellent accuracy on short timing routes to backs and receivers, placing the ball slightly in front to lead receivers to potential yardage after catch. We love to maximize that yak. We have some yak guys on this team, most notably Terry McLaurin. Let's maximize that. Austin, you can include Austin Eckler in there as well as a running back. Good zipping ball placement on the quick slant, good touch down the seam, and on post corner flag routes to attack the defense vertically and horizontally. There goes some of his strengths. But then you also have a pretty nice breakdown of them, really quick, short to the point, by Dane Brugler on The Athletic. He said Hartman is a Greg Maddux type of quarterback. He has average velocity and drive power in his arm, but his feel for accuracy when he makes the right read is what makes him effective. He offers the toughness and intangibles to earn a number 2 or number 3 quarterback role on an NFL depth chart. I'm somewhere like in between those two. I feel like his arm strength is a little bit stronger than Dane Brugler is giving him credit for, but at the same time, I agree that this guy's accuracy is probably his superpower right now. And then NFL Network, one of those analysts said projected round 7 priority free agent, and they said for his breakdown, one of the nation's most productive passes over the past 5 years at Wake Forest. Hartman, 6'1", 211 pounds, started 12 games in his lone season with the Fighting Irish and led the second highest scoring offense in school history at 39.2 points per game. This guy produces, man. I mean, we can talk about his traits. We can talk about the fact that he is like not the biggest arm. He doesn't have much mobility and things like that. But at the end of the day, this guy was putting up points for Notre Dame against pretty good competition as well. The quote was, "Love the kid, would love to have him coaching for you, but just doesn't have the juice," an AFC coordinator said. He's a guy that could probably be your practice squad quarterback. He knows his limitation and is a great guy to be around, but there's no way he just doesn't have the arm. I disagree with that. I feel like his arm is definitely stronger than that AFC coordinator is saying. Also, an AFC executive said, who saw Hartman play live, quote, "I didn't think he was that good, but I think he's one of those guys that someone will take late because he's played a lot of ball and he's a good dude," unquote. Again, I feel like Dane Brugler is somewhere like closest to where I am. I feel like NFL draft buzz is a little bit higher than I am, and I definitely feel like those AFC coordinators and executives are definitely way lower on this guy than I am. So I'm somewhere closer to like Dane Brugler, somewhere in the middle, just to give you an idea of how I feel about this guy. And I also feel like that is very interesting. Again, I briefly mentioned this earlier, but he's like a very different quarterback from Jayden Daniels and even quarterback 2 and Marcus Mariota. Like, Sam doesn't bring you really any mobility, and so that's a strange backup combination, in my opinion. Like, that's a really weird guy to go after as a backup, because for any reason that he would have to step into a game, again, like I said, you can keep a lot of the deep shot things as far as that goes, but I feel like Jayden Daniels is a far better deep ball thrower and has a stronger arm, so you can still do it, but you don't expect it to, be as efficient as it would with Jayden Daniels. And then most importantly, going from Jayden Daniels and Marcus Mariota to Sam Hartman, I mean, the whole mobility thing is over with. Now he can scramble, and he looks to throw down the field while scrambling and improvising and things like that, but I mean, teams will no longer have to even spy us once Sam Hartman, if Sam Hartman ever would have to step into a game. You'll even notice it in the preseason. Like when Jayden Daniels is out there, you may have a linebacker constantly worrying about where Jayden Daniels is. You'll probably see more zone coverage as well, so that the entire defense is facing Jayden Daniels just in case he takes off. But Sam Hartman comes into the game, we're switching to man, and we're no longer keeping a linebacker to spot that guy. It completely changes how our offense plays and how defense defenses play against us. So it's a really interesting backup pickup right there. And even though he's technically QB5 as of right now, because he's literally the new guy that isn't Jayden franchise quarterback Daniels. So will he end up being quarterback 3 sooner rather than later? Again, off of the way that they're paying him, it seems like it. I mean, now that the NFL has changed the rules to where you can have 3 quarterbacks ready to play in every single regular season game without even taking up an active game day roster spot, that 3rd quarterback is more important now than ever in NFL history. Really, these past 2 years is really like, why not have a quality quarterback 3 on your roster? Because it doesn't take away a roster spot from having another receiver, another edge rusher, another tackle, another offensive lineman, another anything else. It used to, now it doesn't. Quarterbacks kind of have like their own little category as far as the active game roster goes, separate from everywhere else on the entire roster. So why not have a good quality quarterback 3? And again, it's pretty weird that you're going to have a guy that doesn't necessarily do the things that the other guys ahead of him on the depth chart do. But speaking of ahead of him in the depth chart right now, technically Jake Fromm and Jeff Driscoll are in front of him right now. But if I had to bet money as far as the 3 quarterbacks that are going to make the 53-man roster going into the regular season, I honestly feel like Sam Hartman easily has a chance to end up surpassing Jake Fromm and Jeff Driscoll. You know I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan through and through, but I think he's easily going to pass Jake Fromm because they're both relatively inexperienced and, I mean, I guess relatively young, I guess, but not really. But like Jeff Driscoll, at the very least, has NFL experience of actually getting into NFL games and playing. Jake Fromm doesn't have that. And of course, Sam Hartman just now getting signed as an undrafted free agent doesn't have that. So if you're thinking about experience, then you go Jeff Driscoll. If you're thinking about youth and maybe a little bit of potential, then Sam Hartman easily beats out Jake Fromm and also beats out Jeff Driscoll. And I think, again, they're probably just going to go ahead. I mean, Jeff Driscoll and Jake Fromm may stick around while we have the 90-man roster going into training camp and things like that, but I can easily see that boy Sam Hartman eventually becoming our QB3, only behind Jayden Daniels and Marcus Mariota. And I'm hoping just ultimately that he really surpasses Marcus Mariota as our quarterback too, because I don't think Marcus Mariota is really even playable at this point. The last times I've seen him go out there on an NFL field, he was actually quite bad. Now, granted, he was decent against us when he played for the Falcons a couple of years ago, but it was more so because of his legs. I feel like the Falcons designed the exact offense to maximize his usage of his legs. And then they had like Cordero Patterson and all of these guys also like being incorporated. It was a very creative offense, and I felt like they did the very best they could do with them, and we still won. So it's just like what's the real ceiling of a Marcus Mariota, even if things all go according to plan? Best case scenario, everything 100% goes the way that you want it to. Marcus Mariota still loses to a relatively average Commanders team in 2022. So it's just like, what can you really do with them? Again, I'm hoping Sam Hartman is at the very least at some point better than Marcus Mariota, which is not, in my opinion, really saying much. So I think he has the inside track to be an at least quarterback 3, but the hope is that he also becomes our quarterback 2. But then again, like I keep saying, it gets a little awkward because at least Marcus Mariota has a similar play style to Jayden Daniels. You can at least call somewhat of like the same style of plays from Cliff Kingsbury's point of view. Sam Hartman, for some reason, if he ever would have to step into a game, the whole playbook is different. Other than literally like deep shots, I guess you're starting to take more slants, more easy passes over the middle. I mean, it completely changes the offense. And also, if you look on Twitter, like I briefly mentioned earlier, so many people are confused as to how he went undrafted, and that seems to be the common theme amongst really our entire undrafted free agent class. At least most of the guys, people are basically making it seem like the Commanders had like 15 draft picks at the end of the day. But Athlon Sports even made an entire article dedicated to a lot of people's tweets questioning how Sam Hartman went undrafted. Like if you go to their article on Athlon Sports, they literally have example tweets of people from different fan bases, all kinds of places, literally just absolutely shocked that Sam Hartman didn't get drafted at the least by the 7th round. And really just in general, the entire football community seems shocked. So they're probably even higher on him than I am. Again, even after going back and watching his tape, I wouldn't necessarily say that we should have gotten him in the 7th round, but a lot of other people feel like he's a steal. So, you know, maybe I need to defer to them. Maybe they know something and I don't. I'm excited. Again, I hope he balls out. He'll never, ever be like a franchise starting quarterback, but I hope that he turns into at least somewhat of like a Colt McCoy type of guy, maybe like a Taylor Heineke type of guy that you stow away as a backup on your roster that you hope never starts for you, but if for some reason he has to, he can go out there and at least not lose you the game type of situation. Also, my boy Burgundy Blog brings up a great point. Hartman's substantial guaranteed deal obviously reflects team interest. Marcus Mariota on a 1-year deal. Fromm and Driscoll are alright. And with the staff assembled expressly for quarterback development between Cliff Kingsbury, Brian Johnson, Tavita Pritchard, and David Blau, Hartman's opportunity and inside track the quarterback to potentially in 2025. Maybe that's how long it will take. But again, to Burgundy Blog's point, we did hire a bunch of quarterback developers. Like specifically, we knew we wanted to improve the quarterback position with the coaching hires we made this year. Literally like 4 proven great quarterback developers, or at the very least quarterback geniuses. Like David Blau just recently was a quarterback in the NFL and was always touted for how smart he was and how technically refined and nuanced he was. So we literally built this coaching staff specifically to develop quarterbacks as well and as quickly as possible. So not only is that potentially for Jayden Daniels, of course, but maybe Sam Hartman as well, and maybe we can see him becoming quarterback too sooner than you think, just simply because of the coaching staff that we assembled to get him there. Also, shouts out to my boy Resh Manuel, because you already know he's coming with the fun facts. Sam Hartman's quarterback coach at Wake Forest was Warren Rigiro, I hope that's how you pronounce that, who coached with Dan Quinn at Hofstra. Additionally, with Hartman and Jayden Daniels having trained with private quarterback coach Taylor Kelly at the same time, which takes me to my next point. Jayden did train at the 3D quarterback camp with many of the top quarterbacks selected in the draft, and undrafted quarterback Sam Hartman, who Washington signed after the draft, also trained there as well. So there's already a previous relationship. They're even standing next to each other in the picture together. You have like Michael Penix in there. You have JJ McCarthy in there. You got a few guys in there, and Sam Hartman and Jayden Daniels are literally side by side for the picture. Also, really, really random. Shouts out to Resh Manuel for this grab, because the NFL Network has like this fastest 40 segment that they did with a lot of college prospects, and Sam Hartman was up there for an interview, and it's kind of like, how many questions about yourself can you answer in 40 seconds? And you can watch the whole interview. It's actually pretty fun. He seems like a really cool guy and everything. But at the end, it's really weird that he actually happens to mention and be proud of the fact that he beat Jayden Daniels and Luke McCaffrey specifically, which are now his teammates. Really weird, really coincidental. Maybe he knew something before we did, even before the draft went down. I don't know. But that's just really weird that he specifically named those 2 guys as the guy that he was happy to beat. And again, this happened before the draft. So really interesting. Shouts out to Resh Manuel for that dig as well. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. How do you feel about him as a player? Where do you feel like he fits on this depth chart? QB2, 3, 4, or 5? Let me know. Let me know if you also knew about him before we signed him as an undrafted free agent, because again, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all in front of all you good people on behind this camera. I did not pay attention to this guy before we got him. I had to go watch some tape on him. But let me know if you were up on him a little bit earlier than I was. Also, of course, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Do not leave this video without leaving a like. Also, if you want to have fun with it, let me know if you're closer to the Draft Buzz's evaluation of them, where they're a little bit higher than I am, or if you're around Dane Brugler and me somewhere in the middle, or if you're as low on him as the NFL Network analysts and the AFC scouts, coordinators and executives and things like that. Let me know which tier you fall under as far as Sam Hartman goes. And again, be on the lookout, because I'm working on video breakdowns all day, and I will be live streaming this evening / tonight. We'll do the call-in show for y'all to call in and voice your opinions about this Commanders draft class, and you can even talk about some undrafted free agents as well. Now, of course, I'm expecting a lot of people to call in, so we're gonna have to be really strict with that 3-minute timer. I am sorry ahead of time. I'm gonna give y'all the heads up while we're streaming and everything. Just make sure you pull up with your points consolidated into like a concise argument or something like that, so that you can try to say as much as you possibly can within the 3-minute timer. Because again, I feel like we're going to be backed up at a certain point, and a lot of people just end up never getting a chance to actually hear their voice heard because some people go over the 3-minute limit. So make sure y'all pull up ready for that. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.